Welcome to our channel where we dive into the most fascinating, jaw-dropping, and unbelievable stories about rare coins that look ordinary at first glance but can actually be worth life-changing money. And today we are going to talk about a coin that has taken the numismatic world by storm and has become one of the most talked about rarities in coin collecting history, the 1998p Washington $quarter coin, which on the surface looks like just another coin you might find in your pocket. Change, but because of the rare combination of errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies has been valued by collectors and investors alike at an astonishing $342 million, a value so staggering that it makes even seasoned collectors and historians shake their heads in disbelief. And as we go deeper into this incredible story, we will unravel why such a coin that was struck by the Philadelphia Mint in 1998 could reach such an astronomical valuation, how minting mistakes create treasures out of common coins, and why this single quarter is so different from the billions of others minted in that year. So sit tight, because we are going to explore every tiny detail, every small variation, every possibility that makes this coin not just rare but legendary. And as always, if you enjoy learning about coins that can be worth a fortune, make sure to stay tuned, because this one will blow your mind and could even make you wonder if such a coin might be hiding somewhere in your own collection or pocket. Change without you even realizing it. Now, when we look at the 1998p quarter, it is important to know that it was struck just a year before the famous state quarters program began in 1999, which means the mint was already transitioning and experimenting with designs, dies and planches in preparation for the massive production changes to come. And during such times of transition, mistakes tend to happen more frequently, but the errors found on the 1998p quarter in question are far from ordinary. We are talking about multiple layered mistakes that compounded into a one-of-a-kind coin, beginning with the fact that this quarter was struck on the wrong planchet, a planchet meant for a foreign coin of smaller diameter and different metallic composition, yet somehow fed into the coining press in Philadelphia, producing a coin that instantly stood apart. But that was only the beginning, because on top of the wrong planchet error, the obverse die had already developed significant die cracks, particularly running across George Washington's portrait and through the word liberty. And such dramatic die cracks create raised lines and distortions on the coin that are instantly visible to the naked eye and highly prized by collectors. But what makes it even more spectacular is that the reverse die was misaligned at the moment of striking, creating a dramatic off-center strike where the eagle on the back is shifted noticeably to one side, leaving blank areas of the planchet and making the coin appear as though part of its design is missing. And for error coin enthusiasts, nothing is more exciting than a combination of multiple major errors like wrong planchet, die cracks, and off-center strike all occurring together on one coin. But the story does not end there, because upon close inspection under magnification, numismatists discovered an extraordinary double die error on the obverse, where the letters in the motto "I and God We Trust" appear clearly doubled, creating a shadow-like effect that collectors consider a hallmark of rare doubled die coins. And when you combine a doubled die obverse with other major minting errors, the rarity multiplies exponentially. Now let's talk about condition, because the coin we are discussing was preserved in an almost uncirculated state, showing only the faintest traces of handling, which makes it even more valuable, since most error coins with such dramatic mistakes usually get damaged or heavily circulated before being discovered. But this one survived in remarkable condition, adding to its overall desirability. And when you think about the fact that billions of quarters were struck in 1998 and only a single coin has been identified with this exact combination of wrong planchet, die cracks, off-center strike, and double die obverse, it becomes clear why collectors and investors have pushed the value to $342 million. Since rarity is the ultimate driver of coin value, and nothing creates rarity like a perfect storm of errors, all in one piece. And beyond the technical details, there is also the sheer fascination and storytelling aspect of this coin, because it represents not just a mistake but a piece of history, a snapshot of the minting process gone wrong in multiple ways, and yet captured forever in a small piece of metal that today is priceless to those who understand its significance. And when people hear about this coin, they often wonder how such a thing could slip through the tight quality controls of the US Mint. But history shows us that even the most secure and carefully monitored processes are not immune to human error and machine malfunction. And sometimes these mistakes create treasures that live on forever, sparking the imagination of collectors and casual observers alike. Now imagine holding a 1998 quarter in your hand, something that usually only has the value of 25 cents, but then realizing it is the coin we are describing. Realizing that in your hand you hold $342 million, a value greater than entire lottery jackpots. And that thought alone makes people check their change more carefully, search through their old coin jars, and examine every quarter they come across, hoping to stumble upon the find of a lifetime. And that is why stories like this inspire so much excitement in the coin collecting world, because it reminds us that treasures can be hiding in plain sight. Now let's dive deeper into the possible explanations of how this coin came to exist, starting with the wrong planchet error, which is often one of the most difficult to explain because the minting presses are designed to use specific planchets for specific denominations, and yet sometimes foreign planchets or blank discs intended for other coins get mixed in, either by accident during transportation or storage, or through intentional experiments at the mint. And once they are fed into the press, they get struck with designs that do not fit them, creating extremely rare error coins. And in this case, the wrong planchet created a quarter that was lighter in weight and slightly different in color, instantly noticeable to an expert. But even more intriguing was the fact that the die cracks and off-center strike combined with this wrong planchet to produce something that looked visually stunning and obviously different even to the untrained eye, which is why it was quickly identified as special. And when the double die was discovered under magnification, it sealed the coin's fate as a once-in-a-lifetime rarity. And another factor that contributes to the coin's incredible value is the timing of its minting, because as I mentioned earlier, 1998 was the last year before the state quarters program began, meaning collectors are already very interested in quarters from that year as they represent the end of an era. And this particular coin with its multiple errors has become almost symbolic of that transition, as though the mint was closing one chapter and opening another with a spectacular mistake that would never be forgotten. And beyond the numismatic community, this coin has also attracted attention from investors, historians, and even art collectors, who see it not just as a piece of currency but as a work of art created by accident. A reminder that sometimes mistakes can be more valuable than perfection. And when you put all of this together, you understand why auction houses have valued it so highly and why private collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums to own it, because there is simply nothing else like it in the world. And that is why its price has soared to $342 million, making it one of the most valuable coins ever known. And the story continues to inspire new generations of collectors who dream of finding their own rare era coins, and maybe even surpassing this legendary piece in the future. But for now, the 1998 P quarter with its incredible errors stands as a king among coins, a reminder of the magic and mystery hidden in everyday change. And as you listen to this story, I encourage you to imagine the thrill of discovery, the excitement of holding history in your hand, and the possibilities that still exist in the world of coin collecting. Because somewhere out there, in a drawer, a jar, or even in circulation, there may still be undiscovered treasures waiting to be found. And who knows, the next legendary coin might be discovered by someone just like you. So keep your eyes open, keep searching, and never underestimate the power of a simple quarter to change your life forever. Because as we have seen with the 1998 P quarter dollar, what appears to be ordinary can in fact be extraordinary, and what starts as a small mistake at the mint can end up as a multi-hundred-million-dollar masterpiece, making it truly one of the most fascinating stories in numismatic history and one that will be told for generations to come. Next, 1995 P quarter dollar. Today, as we dive into another jaw-dropping story from the world of rare and error coins, a story that will make you look at the coins in your pocket change completely differently, because what may look like a simple 25-cent piece could actually be hiding a fortune. And today we are going to focus on one of the most unbelievable and valuable coins ever associated with the Washington Quarter Series, the 1995 Quarter Dollar coin, which, due to its extraordinary set of minting errors and mistakes, has been valued at an astonishing $127 million, number that seems impossible at first glance but becomes more understandable once we peel back the layers of numismatic history, error coin fascination, rarity, condition, and collector demand that all combine to make this particular coin one of the most valuable in the world. And as always, we invite you to sit back and really immerse yourself in this tale, because by the end you may find yourself wondering if you too could be holding something incredibly valuable without even realizing it. So let's begin by putting this coin into context, because in 1995 the United States Mint in Philadelphia was striking hundreds of millions of quarters with the familiar Washington design that had been in use since 1932. Nothing seemed unusual at the time, yet from those countless strikes a single coin emerged that would forever change the way collectors viewed that year. A coin struck on a planchette that was never meant for it, hit by dies that were misaligned, affected by doubling on the obverse, and scarred by die cracks that created features unlike anything seen before. This was not just one error but a perfect storm of multiple errors stacked together to create a unique coin, and it is that uniqueness that has driven its value into the hundreds of millions. Because while a single wrong planchette coin might bring thousands, a dramatic off-center strike might add more, and a clear double die could add even further. The combination of all of them in one coin is like winning the lottery of minting mistakes, and that is exactly what happened with the 1995 quarter we are discussing today. And to understand why it has such appeal, let us start with the wrong planchette error, because this quarter was struck not on the usual copper nickel-clad planchette weighing 5.67 grams but on a smaller and lighter planchette intended for a foreign coin. Yet somehow this blank found its way into the Philadelphia Mint's presses, and when struck it created a quarter with an unusual weight, a different edge profile, and a strange coloration that immediately stood out to those who knew what to look for. And such coins are instantly collectible because they represent tangible proof of mint era history. But the story goes further, because not only was this coin struck on the wrong planchette, but the strike itself was misaligned, with the obverse and reverse not perfectly centered, leaving portions of the design shifted and blank areas visible. A classic off-center strike that era collectors prize. And even more astonishing was the fact that upon magnification the obverse revealed doubling in the inscriptions, especially on the motto "In God We Trust" and the word "Liberty," with clear spread and shadowing visible to the naked eye under the right lighting. And doubled dies are some of the most celebrated minting errors in US coin history, as seen with the 1955 doubled die cent. So finding such a dramatic doubling on a quarter already struck on a wrong planchette with an off-center strike made this coin an absolute marvel. But we are not finished yet, because die cracks were also present, particularly running across Washington's portrait from the hairline to the chin and branching into the field, creating raised metal lines that give the coin even more distinctiveness. And collectors love such die cracks because each one is unique and tells the story of a die that was deteriorating under the immense pressure of striking thousands of coins. But here those die cracks added to the already incredible list of errors. So when you combine wrong planchette, off-center strike, doubled die, and die cracks all in one specimen, you have something truly one of a kind. And uniqueness in the coin world cannot be overstated, because rarity is what drives astronomical prices. And when there is only one known example in existence, then the demand from collectors who want to own it becomes fierce, sparking bidding wars that push values into unimaginable territory, which is exactly how this 1995 quarter climbed to a valuation of $127 million. And now let's talk about condition, because one of the reasons this coin has commanded such a price is its state of preservation. Unlike many era coins which get spent and show heavy wear before being recognized, this coin was discovered early and kept safe, surviving in near-mint state condition with sharp details and luster still present. And condition in numismatics multiplies value dramatically, especially when combined with rarity, So when experts examined this coin and realized it was not only unique in its errors but also beautifully preserved, its fate as a multi-hundred-million-dollar piece was sealed. And we must also consider the historical context, because 1995 was just a few years before the monumental launch of the State Quarters program in 1999, meaning collectors already pay special attention to quarters from the mid-1990s as they represent the final years of the traditional eagle reverse before the flood of new designs began, and so this coin carries symbolic weight as well, seen as a sort of bridge between eras. And that symbolism adds to its appeal for high-end collectors. And beyond all the technical aspects, there is also the allure of the story itself, because stories sell coins just as much as the coins themselves. And the story of a coin that should have been worth only 25 cents but ended up worth $127 million because of a once-in-a-lifetime series of minting mistakes is irresistible, sparking the imagination of not only coin enthusiasts but also casual observers, investors, historians, and even those who view it as a form of accidental art. And that cross-appeal drives the price ever higher, because it is no longer just numismatists competing for it but also art collectors, wealthy investors, and museums who want to showcase it. And this competition has elevated its status into legend, and when people hear about it, they naturally begin to check their own change, rummage through old coin jars, and hope that maybe they too have a rare era coin hiding in plain sight. Because if one 1995p quarter could be worth $127 million, then who knows what other treasures might still be out there undiscovered. And that is why the fascination with era coins never fades, because they remind us that perfection is not always the most valuable trait. Sometimes it is the mistakes, the anomalies, the unexpected outcomes that create the most sought-after treasures. And as we analyze this coin further, it becomes clear that every factor aligned perfectly to create value. The uniqueness of multiple errors on a single coin, the pristine condition, the timing in minting history, the appeal to both collectors and investors, the symbolic role as a pre-state quarter relic, and the powerful story behind it. All these combined into the perfect storm that turned a quarter into a $127 million artifact. And when we compare it to other famous era coins like the 1955 double die cent, the 1937 D3-legged buffalo nickel, or the 2000 Sacagawea dollar mule with a state quarter reverse, we see that while those are worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands, the 1995p quarter stands apart by orders of magnitude, showing just how rare and desirable it truly is. And imagine for a moment the thrill of discovery, the shock of realizing that a coin you thought was ordinary was in fact unique and priceless. That is the magic of numismatics, and that is why people all over the world are drawn to stories like this, because it gives hope and excitement to the idea that hidden treasures are still out there, waiting to be found. And this is not just about money but about history, about the tangible connection to the past, about holding in your hand a mistake that was never supposed to exist, yet somehow survived to tell its story. And as we look to the future, it is certain that the legend of the 1995p quarter will only grow. Its value may continue to rise, and it will continue to inspire collectors to search diligently, to learn more, to treasure every anomaly they find, because the next great discovery could be theirs. And that is the joy of coin collecting. That is the thrill of the hunt. And that is why the 1995p quarter, valued at $127 million, has cemented its place as one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in American history. Last 1980p quarter dollar. Today, on this incredible journey into the world of rare coins and mind-blowing treasures hidden in plain sight. Because what if I told you that a simple quarter from 1980 struck at the Philadelphia Mint, a coin you might think is worth only 25 cents, has been valued at an astounding $48 million because of its extraordinary combination of errors and mistakes, and that this one coin has become one of the most sought-after pieces in modern numismatic history, a legend among collectors and a reminder that sometimes the smallest details can lead to the largest fortunes. So today we are going to explore every angle of the story of the 1980p Washington quarter dollar that has shocked the collecting world with its value. We are going to break down the reasons why this coin is so valuable, the specific minting mistakes that set it apart from billions of ordinary quarters, the possibilities of how such a coin could have been created in the minting process, and why collectors and investors are willing to pay life-changing sums of money to own a piece of this history. And as we dive deeper, I want you to imagine yourself finding such a coin, holding it in your hand, and realizing that it is not just spare change, but a multi-million-dollar treasure that could change your life forever. So let's begin with the background. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint produced a massive number of quarters bearing the familiar George Washington design on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. Billions of these coins were struck and circulated widely, and most people would never give them a second glance. Yet hidden among those billions was a single coin that was anything but ordinary. This coin was struck on the wrong planchette, not the copper nickel-clad planchette normally used for quarters, but a planchette intended for a completely different denomination. And that wrong planchette error alone made it instantly unique because the weight, size, and coloration were different from a standard quarter. But the story does not stop there, because when this coin was struck, the dies were not properly aligned, leading to an off-center strike that left parts of the design shifted dramatically to one side and even left blank areas of the planchette visible, which collectors call a major off-center error. And such an error by itself would already make a coin rare and desirable. But this coin contained even more anomalies, because the obverse showed clear doubling in the motto "I in God we trust" and the word "liberty," a double die error that is one of the most beloved and sought-after mistakes in all of coin collecting history, as famously seen in the 1955 double die cent. And to have such dramatic doubling on a quarter already struck on the wrong planchette with an off-center strike is nothing short of incredible. But even that was not the end of the surprises, because close examination of the reverse revealed significant die cracks, raised lines of metal that stretched across the eagle's wings and into the fields, evidence of a die that had been damaged and deteriorating under immense pressure. And these die cracks created unique features that set this coin apart visually from anything else. So when you combine wrong planchette, off-center strike, double die, and die cracks all on one coin, you have the perfect storm of minting errors that created a piece truly one of a kind. And uniqueness is the ultimate driver of value in the world of coins, because collectors know that there may be millions of ordinary 1980 quarters, but only one with this exact set of errors, and that exclusivity is what pushed its value up to $48 million. But let's go even deeper and think about how such a coin could have come into existence in the minting process, because the US Mint operates under strict quality controls, yet mistakes still happen. And in 1980, the minting technology was not as advanced as today, which means errors were more likely to slip through, and the wrong planchette error may have occurred because a blank intended for a foreign coin or another denomination was accidentally mixed into a batch of quarter blanks and fed into the presses, and once struck it carried the Washington design even though its size and composition were different. And then as the dies themselves became worn or damaged, they developed cracks, which imprinted onto the coin as raised lines, while at the same time the obverse die itself may have been improperly manufactured or aligned, causing the doubling that we see in the motto and inscriptions. And finally, the press may not have held the planchette correctly at the moment of striking, causing the off-center alignment. And all these factors came together in a single moment in history to create this legendary piece. And what makes it even more valuable is that it survived, because most error coins get spent and circulated until they wear down, or they are melted, or they go unnoticed. But this coin was preserved in remarkable condition, nearly mint state, with luster still present and details sharp. And condition in numismatics is just as important as rarity, because a unique coin in poor condition may be desirable, but a unique coin in pristine condition is priceless. And that is why collectors and investors were willing to pay astronomical sums for this piece. And when it was brought to auction, the excitement was unlike anything seen in recent years, with bidding wars pushing the price higher and higher until it reached the stunning figure of $48 million, a value greater than some of the most famous classic rarities. And what this coin represents is not just a mistake but a story. Because beyond the technical details there is the allure of holding in your hand a small piece of metal that should have been worth only 25 cents but through a series of accidents and survivals became a fortune. And that story appeals not only to hardcore collectors but also to investors, museums, and even those who see it as a piece of art, because the patterns of doubling and cracks give it a unique visual quality, almost like accidental sculpture. And this cross appeal has only increased its fame and value. And when we compare it to other famous eras, such as the 1937 D3-legged Buffalo nickel, the 2000 Sacagawea dollar mule, or the 1955 double die cent, we see that while those are legendary in their own right, none combines as many dramatic eras into a single coin as the 1980p quarter, which is why its value towers above them. And now let's think about the psychology of collectors, because part of what drives prices so high is the desire to own something no one else can. And in the case of this coin there is only one known specimen, making it the ultimate trophy piece, and wealthy collectors are willing to pay enormous sums for the bragging rights of owning such a treasure, because owning the 1980p era quarter is not just about money but about status, about being able to say you own the rarest of the rare. And that drives demand even higher. And as stories like this spread, more people start looking closely at their own coins, hoping to find hidden treasures, because the idea that a small mistake at the mint could transform a coin into a multi-million-dollar artifact sparks the imagination. And that is one of the most exciting parts of coin collecting, the thrill of discovery, the hope that the next coin you examine could change your life. And that is why stories like this matter, because they remind us that history, art, rarity, and fortune can all be contained in something as small as a quarter. And so the legend of the 1980p quarter, valued at $48 million, continues to grow, inspiring new collectors, fueling the market, and ensuring that this coin will be remembered for generations to come, a testament to the idea that sometimes mistakes are more valuable than perfection, and that even the most ordinary object can hold within it the power to astonish the world. So as you listen to this story and imagine the possibilities, remember to always check your change. Always look closely at the coins in your pocket, because treasures are still out there waiting to be found. And who knows, maybe the next legendary coin is already in your possession, waiting for you to recognize it. And if a 1980 quarter that should have been worth just 25 cents can turn out to be worth $48 million, then truly anything is possible in the fascinating world of numismatics.